and in a good-humored way, took his station, levelled his rifle carelessly, and fired. The bullet missed the required mark by several inches. "Major Duncan is excluded from the other trials," proclaimed the adjutant, in a voice so strong and confident that all the elder officers and the sergeants well understood that this failure was preconcerted, while all the younger gentlemen and the privates felt new encouragement to proceed on account of the evident impartiality with which the laws of the sports were administered. "Now, Mr. Eau douce, comes your turn," said Muir, "and if you do not meet the Major, I shall say that your hand is better skilled with the oar than with the rifle." Jasper's handsome face flushed. He stepped upon the stand, cast a hasty glance at Mabel, whose pretty form he ascertained was bending eagerly forward as if to note the result, dropped the barrel of his rifle with but little apparent care into the palm of his left hand, raised the muzzle for a single instant with exceeding steadiness, and fired. The bullet passed directly through the center of the bull's eye, much the best shot of the morning, since the others had merely touched the paint. "Well performed, Master Jasper," said Muir, as soon as the result was declared, "in a shot that might have done credit to an older head and a more experienced eye. I'm thinking, notwithstanding, there was some of a youngster's luck in it, for you were no particular in the aim you took. You may be quick, Eau douce, in the movement, but not your philosophic nor scientific in your management of the weapon. Now, Sergeant Dunham, I'll thank you to request the ladies to give it closer attention than common, for I'm about to make that use of the rifle which may be called the intellectual. Jasper would have killed, I allow, but then there would not have been half the satisfaction in receiving such a shot as in receiving one that is discharged scientifically." All this time the quartermaster was preparing himself for the scientific trial, but he delayed his aim until he saw that the eye of Mabel, in common with those of her companions, were fastened on him in curiosity. As the others left him room, out of respect to his rank, no one stood near the competitor but his commanding officer, to whom he now said in his familiar manner, "You see, Lundy, that something is to be gained by exciting a female's curiosity. It's an active sentiment is curiosity, and properly improved may lead to gentler innovations in the end." "Very true, Davy; but you keep us all waiting while you make your preparations, and here is Pathfinder drawing near to catch a lesson from your greater experience." "Well, Pathfinder, and so you have come to get an idea, too, concerning the philosophy of shooting? I do not wish to hide my light under a bushel, and you're welcome to all you learn. Do you not mean to try a shot yourself, man?" "Why should I, Quartermaster? Why should I? I want none of the prizes; and as for honor, I have had enough of that, if it's any honor to shoot better than yourself. I'm not a woman to wear a calash." "Very true; but you might find a woman that is precious in your eyes to wear it for you, as—" "Come, Davy," interrupted the Major. "Your shot or a retreat? The adjutant is getting impatient." "The quartermaster's department and the adjutant's department are seldom compliable, Lundy, but I'm ready. Stand a little aside, Pathfinder, and give the ladies an opportunity." Lieutenant Muir now took his attitude with a good deal of studied elegance, raised his rifle slowly, lowered it, raised it again, repeated the manoeuvres, and fired. "Missed the target altogether!" shouted the man whose duty it was to mark the bullets, and who had little relish for the quartermaster's tedious science. "Missed the target!" "It cannot be!" cried Muir, his face flushing equally with indignation and shame. "It cannot be, Adjutant, for I never did so awkward a thing in my life. I appeal to the ladies for a juster judgment." "The ladies shut their eyes when you fired!" exclaimed the regimental wags. "Your preparations alarmed them." "I would not believe such calumny of the ladies, nor such a reproach for my own skill," returned the quartermaster, growing more and more Scotch as he warmed with his feelings. "It's a conspiracy to rob a meritorious man of his dues." "It's a dead miss, Muir," said the laughing Lundy, "and you'll just sit down quietly with the disgrace." "No, no, Major. Pathfinder at length observed, "the Quartermaster is a good shot for a slow one and a measured distance, though nothing extraordinary for real service. He has covered Jasper's bullet, as will be seen, if any one will take the trouble to examine the target." The respect for Pathfinder's skill and for his quickness and accuracy of sight was so profound and general that, the instant he made this declaration, the spectators began to distrust their own opinions, and a dozen rushed to the target in order to ascertain the fact. There, sure enough, it was found that the Quartermaster's bullet had gone through the hole made by Jasper's, and that, too, so accurately as to require a minute examination to be certain of the circumstance, which, however, was soon clearly established by discovering one bullet over the other in the stump against which the target was placed. "I told you, ladies, you were about to witness the influence of science on gunnery," said the Quartermaster, advancing towards the staging occupied by the females. "Major Duncan derides the idea of mathematics entering into target shooting, but I tell him philosophy colors and enlarges and improves and dilates and explains everything that belongs to human life, whether it be a shooting match or a sermon. In a word, philosophy is philosophy, and that is saying all that the subject requires." "I trust you exclude love from the catalogue," observed the wife of a captain who knew the history of the Quartermaster's marriages, and who had a woman's malice against the monopolizer of her sex. "It seems that philosophy has little in common with love." "You wouldn't say that, madam, if your heart had experienced many trials. It's the man or the woman that has had many occasions to improve the affections that can best speak of such matters; and believe me, of all love, philosophical is the most lasting, as it is the most rational." "You would then recommend experience as an improvement on the passion?" "Your quick mind has conceived the idea at a glance. The happiest marriages are those in which youth and beauty and confidence on one side rely on the sagacity, moderation, and prudence of years. Middle age, I mean, madam, for I'll no deny that there is such a thing as husbands being too old for a wife. Here is Sergeant Dunham's charming daughter now, to approve of such sentiments, I'm certain, her character for discretion being already well established in the garrison, short as has been her residence among us." "Sergeant Dunham's daughter is scarcely a fitting interlocutor in a discourse between you and me, Lieutenant Muir," rejoined the captain's lady, with careful respect for her own dignity; "and yonder is the Pathfinder about to take his chance, by way of changing the subject." "I protest, Major Duncan, I protest!" cried Muir, hurrying back towards the stand, with both arms elevated by means of enforcing his words. "I protest in the strongest terms, gentlemen, against Pathfinders being admitted into these sports with Killdeer, which is a piece, to say nothing of long habit, that is altogether out of proportion for a trial of skill against government rifles." "Killdeer is taking its rest, Quartermaster," returned Pathfinder calmly, "and no one here thinks of disturbing it. I did not think myself of pulling a trigger to-day, but Sergeant Dunham has been persuading me that I shall not do proper honor to his handsome daughter, who came in under my care, if I am backward on such an occasion. I'm using Jasper's rifle, Quartermaster, as you may see, and that is no better than your own." Lieutenant Muir was now obliged to acquiesce, and every eye turned towards the Pathfinder as he took the required station. The air and attitude of this celebrated guide and hunter were extremely fine, and as he raised his tall form and levelled the piece, showing perfect self-command, and a thorough knowledge of the power of the human frame as well as the weapon. Pathfinder was not what is usually termed a handsome man, though his appearance excited so much confidence and commanded respect. Tall, and even muscular, his frame might have been esteemed nearly perfect, were it not for the total absence of everything like flesh. Whipcord was scarcely more rigid than his arms and legs, or, at need, more pliable, but the outlines of his person were rather too angular for the proportion that the eye most approves. Still, his motions, being natural, were graceful, and being calm and